Welcome to Autofaze. On this video, we put subframe connectors and an anti-roll bar on the WS6. If you guys aren't familiar with Vasko speed, the reason I came here to get an anti-roll bar set up is because one, you saw me put the floor pans in the Nova. My welding, it's mediocre. This guy is an incredible fabricator. He also does a whole bunch of other stuff, and he set up a ton of these cars. So that's why I rolled over to Vasko speed, because he's gonna hook it up with the install. And after talking conversations with Brad here, I was actually originally going to go, after researching on Google and forums, which yeah, those are still a thing, I ran across the BMR Extreme Anti-Roll Bar. Now what's really attractive about those is you can change the settings, but Brad steered me away from that. And it kind of explain why that was.
Well, first off, I'm Brad with Vasko Speed Performance. We do a lot of fabrication work is mainly what we do, but we also do like performance installs like cams and clutches and things like that. But we mainly do a lot of stuff where you have to fabricate like roll cages, anti-roll bars, subframe connectors, turbo kits, things like that.
The fun stuff.
Yeah, so mainly that's what we deal with, but we're open to everything. But Travis and I were talking about doing subframe connectors, and we got on the subject talking about anti-roll bars. One of the things he's brought up was the BMR Extreme anti-roll bar. I personally went down that road and bought the exact same one. Although it's a good product, but for what we are trying to do, it didn't seem to truly meet my needs and what I wanted. One of the things that I noticed was it didn't lock the anti-roll bar, and it would slide back and forth.
Right.
And I felt like it shouldn't have really necessarily slid, it should have stayed put. So him and I came across some, and I had seen before people use it, one of my good friends had used it, was the TRZ anti-roll bar. It seems to be a lot better product. It's a bolt in place. You don't have to really hack anything up.
Which is nice, which when I bought it, I didn't realize that was the fact, but it is super quality.
Yeah, it's really nice because it fits with the factory bolt holes. You can put it in there, and you're not really changing the structure of the car. You get to keep it the way it is. So that's one of the things I tried to lean him towards. He ended up going with it.
Right, this is a good segue to kind of, for those people out there that don't know what an anti-roll bar is, let's kind of touch base on that and why would someone want to put that on a street car? Because I mean, you hear anti-roll bar is a lot of times associated with track cars, guys that just run on the track. We're talking drag racing here.
Right.
So why would someone lean towards an anti-roll bar versus just putting like a 1-inch sway bar on their car?
So an anti-roll bar, you have one in the front and typically one in the rear from the factory. When you drag racing, you really don't need the one up front because you're not diving and dipping into corners. So when
hashtag weight saving.
you do save some weight with that. Not unless you leave the brackets like you did. But
right. Hey, that's 5.5 pounds, which they're going to come off.
But it's good for drag racing because you'll notice a lot of cars, when they leave, they want to leave and they'll lean over to one side or the other. So some people will do things like helper bags in the springs and things like that. And those are more like a Band-Aid for it.
Right.
So what you can do is you can actually put preload in, and you can actually correct what you know the car is going to do to help the car not lean and leave straight and go down the track straight.
Exactly, because even if you have, let's say this car has Vikings, you can only do so much with a two-way adjustable shock, so really you need an anti-roll bar, especially if you're going to be, honestly, even if you're going to race it a couple times a year, it's going to be a huge help versus you having to go mess with an airbag. It's just not a good system. I know a lot of guys have gone fast with that system, but for us, I mean, I'm the type of person now that I just want to do it once and be done with it.
Exactly.
And so that's exactly kind of what we're doing here today. Now, the next big thing is I hear a lot of guys say you should not run an anti-roll bar on the street. I know a lot of guys do. What is your opinion on that?
So, yeah, truly, you're probably correct. If you're going to trailer it, if you're going to put it on the street, yeah, it's a good idea to unhook it. Typically, the weakest point on that is going to be the links, the part you adjust.
Right.
They are known to break. If they're larger, they typically don't break, but you can drive it on the street. I drive my own personal car on the street with them. I know a lot of people that street race and drive them on the street like that.
Right.
But the more up and down, down a flat track you go on, the more risk you're taking of breaking it.
So, I mean, especially here in the Midwest where our streets are like number 48 out of 50, you should definitely be more mindful about potholes.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, most guys that are putting anti-roll bars on their car anyway that do drive them on the weekends, a lot of times they're a lot lower anyway, so they're a lot more conscious of potholes and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, use your own judgment.
Exactly. So, awesome, man. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we dive in?
No, let's get after it.
TRZ anti-roll bar. It's basically where you just got to remove the upper and the lower panhard bar, and then that part of the TRZ anti-roll bar goes in its place, and most of this is purely a bolt-on affair besides the welding that you have to do on your axle tubes. You do have to increase the hardware size for the lower panhard bar, you know, as far as the bolts and stuff are concerned. And then from there, it's basically just, you know, grinding everything down and so you can make an awesome weld. And we didn't really film a bunch for the subframe connectors. You know, of course, we did get a lot of, I did get a lot of prep that Brad was doing. Here's some more awesome B-roll of Brad doing his thing welding.
So ideally you want this bar right here to be flat with the bottom of the car or the ground. And as you notice, this one kind of goes forward at a little bit of angle. I would prefer it to be straight up and down, but without doing a lot of modifications, it will have to we might grind some of these down off of this to make it come in a little closer, but you don't want to come in too close because then this will connect or hit the tube, so we'll probably end up leaving them where they're at because it should, for the most part, do what it's wanting to do, but I would prefer they would be up and down straight, but we kind of deal with what we got, so I don't think it'll be that big of a deal.
You think it's because the car is lowered?
It could be part of it. These also are, I'm pretty sure that TRZ just makes these at a normal length, and they didn't want to go and redesign them, and so since you have your torque or your pan rod bar back here pushed back, you can only go so far back with it, so it's probably natural for what it is. But
well, I think the directions say that it needs to be at a slight downward angle, which looks like it barely is.
Yeah.
So I would think we would be fine.
Yeah, we can look at them and see what they say, but typically you're around the flat, and then you can always adjust them down.
Right.
So, and they're all the way bottomed out right now, so it'll give you plenty of adjustability if you have to go. If we wanted to, we could read the instructions, and it probably says maybe put them in the halfway mark and then do it. Might help us out there too.
Right.
Because if we do that, it might actually put it up to the top like that. But
that does make the adjustment straighter.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's look at the instructions and see what they want to do.
We're actually going to look at the instructions.
Yeah, well, you know.
The links to all the way in, we probably want to move them out a little bit so in case you have to go back. You know, set them kind of in the middle.
Right.
Because if you go all the way one way, then you can't go more that direction. So let's move the links to in the center about where we want to go, and then we can come up with an estimate about how far it can go, and then cut the difference and try to go to the middle.
Right. That way with the maximum amount of adjustability if needed.
Exactly, yeah.
Another thing I'm going to try and do is I prefer to have these at the bottom so that if you're at the track or something like that and you have to, you know, get up there, it's easier to get a wrench on the bottom and break the jam nut loose than sit there and try to jack with the one up at the top. So
it's the little things.
Yeah, you try to make your life easier, because at the track it's usually, or on the street, it's usually more of a pain in the ass.
Here it is all together. I hope it performs as well as it looks. Definitely looking forward to testing this in the spring once everything warms up. Whew, well, made it home. Man, what a adventure that was. Do not recommend driving without third or fourth gear. I was able to actually get third to work sometimes, only going down hills, manually shifting the 60E. We made it home. Luckily, Vasko is also located in the Midwest, so it wasn't a huge drive for us. A little bit of highway driving, a little bit of back road driving. It was an awesome time. Brad absolutely killed it. Man, if you need anything done, Vasko Speed is your man. That dude is a wizard with the welder. I was completely blown away, to be honest with you. The anti-roll bar came out way better than I thought it would. And like we said in the video, while we were there, went ahead and had him throw on the subframe connectors that we've had for a while. So again, shout out to Brad. Check him out. You know how I do. I'll throw links and stuff in the description. Thanks for watching and hanging out as we do this WS6 build. It's been an absolute blast. Winter is here. We got to get that ADE in. Let's go. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.